Ladies and gentlemen, friends and dreamers of a better tomorrow, take a moment, look around you. Right here in this room are people with stories waiting to be told, potential waiting to be unleashed, and decisions waiting to be made. Today isn't just another day, it's an opportunity to reflect, to learn, and most importantly, to act. Because the difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't time, luck, or circumstance you. It's your vision, your resilience, your willingness to act, and your courage to lead. So let's dive deep into the lessons of resilience, vision, action, and leadership. Because what you take from this room today isn't just for you, it's for every life you'll touch, every challenge you'll face, and every ripple you'll create. Are you ready? Let's begin. Resilience, it's a word we hear often, but rarely do we stop to understand the sheer force it carries. In 2024, resilience wasn't just a motivational buzzword, it became the lifeline for individuals, businesses, and communities navigating a world filled with unprecedented challenges. But let me tell you something, resilience isn't about avoiding failure, nor is it about pretending everything is fine. It's about staring failure in the face, feeling every ounce of fear and doubt, and still taking one more step forward. This year tested people in ways they never anticipated. Economies fluctuated, industries were disrupted, personal losses weighed heavily, and uncertainty became a constant companion. Yet, amidst the chaos, something incredible happened. People refused to back down. They refused to let circumstances define their outcomes. Instead, they adapted. They innovated. They found strength in places they never thought to look. See, resilience isn't always loud. It doesn't always show up with grand speeches or bold declarations. Sometimes resilience is quiet. It's the single mother waking up at 5 a.m. every day to make sure her kids have a better future. It's the entrepreneur who poured their last bit of savings into an idea that everyone else said would fail. It's the student who pushed through burnout and self-doubt to chase a dream no one else could see. But here's the truth, resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. Every setback, every heartbreak, every rejection is a brick in the foundation of your resilience. And in 2024, those who stood tall were not the ones who avoided hardship, they were the ones who embraced it. They asked themselves the hard questions, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? They didn't waste energy complaining about what was out of their control. Instead, they focused on what was in their control. Think about the companies that flourished this year. It wasn't just because they had better products or bigger budgets, it was because they were flexible. They pivoted when the market shifted, they listened when their customers spoke, and most importantly, they kept moving forward even when success seemed out of reach. And resilience isn't just about enduring pain, it's about finding purpose in that pain. Some of the most impactful stories from 2024 came from people who turned their struggles into fuel. A health crisis became the motivation for someone to start a fitness movement. A financial setback became the catalyst for someone to build a business that served thousands. Every obstacle carried a hidden opportunity, but only those with the eyes of resilience could see it. But let me make one thing clear, resilience isn't a solo journey. It's built in connection with others. Communities that thrived in 2024 didn't do so because every individual was strong, they thrived because people leaned on each other. They offered support, they shared resources, and they lifted each other up when someone stumbled. Imagine a world where everyone truly understood the power of resilience. A world where instead of running from failure, we welcomed it as a teacher. A world where instead of breaking under pressure, we grew stronger because of it. That's not just an ideal, it's a reality that many people created for themselves in 2024. Resilience teaches us that no matter how heavy the burden, no matter how deep the wound, there is always a way forward. Sometimes it's not a leap, it's just one small step, but every small step counts. Every effort matters. And here's the most beautiful thing about resilience, it's contagious. When one person rises after falling, it sends a signal to everyone around them, you can rise too. In 2024, resilience wasn't just an individual quality, it became a collective movement. It spread across workplaces, neighborhoods, and entire nations. So the question isn't whether challenges will come, they will. The question isn't whether you'll stumble, you will. The real question is, when the storm hits, will you bend or will you break? Will you see the obstacle as the end of your journey or as the beginning of something extraordinary? Because in 2024, time and time again, people showed us that resilience isn't about avoiding the fall, it's about getting up, no matter how many times you're knocked down. And every time someone rose, they didn't just lift themselves, they lifted everyone watching. This year taught us that resilience isn't optional, it's essential. It's not just a tool for surviving, it's the foundation for thriving. And those who embrace it didn't just overcome challenges, they transformed them into stepping stones for achievements they once thought were impossible. But the story of resilience doesn't end here, because resilience isn't a final destination, it's a way of life. It's the mindset that says, no matter what comes my way, I will rise again. In a world that's constantly changing, one thing remains certain: resilience will always be the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. Vision, it's one of the most powerful forces on this planet. It's the invisible thread that pulls people out of mediocrity and into greatness. It's the silent architect behind every skyscraper, every groundbreaking innovation, every life-changing movement. But let me ask you something. Do you have a vision for your life, your business, your purpose? Because here's the truth: without vision, you're not living, you're just existing. In 2024, we saw one undeniable pattern. The people who achieved extraordinary results weren't necessarily the smartest, the wealthiest, or the most talented. They were the ones who had a vision so clear, so compelling, that it became their guiding light through every storm, every stack, every moment of doubt. You see, vision isn't just about setting goals. Goals are important, but they're like dots on a map. Vision is the map itself. It's the big picture. It's the reason you wake up every morning with purpose, the reason you push through exhaustion, the reason you refuse to settle for good enough. But here's the catch: a vision isn't effective unless it's clear. Vague dreams don't create focused action. Saying, I want to be successful isn't a vision, it's a wish. A true vision is specific. It's painted in vivid detail. It's not just what you want, it's why you want it, how it will feel when you achieve it, and who will benefit from it. In 2024, the most inspiring stories came from people who refused to let the noise of the world drown out their inner voice. They didn't let temporary failures distract them from their long-term mission. Their vision acted like a compass, keeping them on course when everything around them felt uncertain. Think about the leaders who made the biggest impact this year. They weren't just reacting to problems, they were driven by a larger purpose. They had the ability to see not just what was in front of them, but what could be if they stayed focused. Vision isn't about predicting the future, it's about creating it. And here's something powerful: when you have a vision, you start attracting people who believe in it too. Vision creates alignment, it builds momentum. A team with a shared vision is unstoppable because they're not just working for a paycheck, they're working for a purpose. But vision isn't reserved for CEOs or world leaders, it's for everyone. The teacher who sees potential in every student, the artist who paints a picture no one else can see, the parent who envisions a better future for their children. Vision doesn't care about your title, it cares about your mindset. In 2024, those with a clear vision didn't get distracted by the opinions of others. They weren't swayed by every obstacle in their path. Why? Because vision creates focus. It silences doubt. It transforms impossible into inevitable. But let me be clear, vision alone isn't enough. It's not a magic wand. You can't just sit in a room, dream big dreams, and expect them to manifest. Vision needs action, needs discipline, needs courage. But without vision, your action has no direction. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere. Vision gives meaning to your sacrifices. It's what makes the late nights and early mornings worth it. It's what keeps you going when quitting seems like the easiest option. And the most extraordinary thing about vision, it grows. The more you nurture it, the clearer it becomes. But here's something many people overlook. Vision isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. When you're driven by a strong vision, every step forward feels purposeful, every setback feels temporary, and every small win feels like fuel for the next milestone. And let's not forget the ripple effect of vision. When one person dares to dream boldly, it creates a spark in others. One person's clarity can inspire an entire team, an entire organization, even an entire generation. That's the power of vision. It doesn't stay confined within one mind, it spreads. But vision isn't always easy to hold on to. Doubt will creep in. People will tell you it's unrealistic, impractical, or even foolish. And that's when you have to remind yourself they can't see what you see. Your vision isn't meant to make sense to everyone else, it's meant to drive you. And let me tell you something else. Vision isn't limited by your current circumstances. It doesn't care about where you started, how much money you have, or how many times you failed before. Vision lives in the future. And it calls you to step into a version of yourself that's bigger, bolder, and braver. But vision also requires something that most people overlook: belief. You can have the clearest vision in the world, but if you don't believe it's possible, it's just a fantasy. Belief is the fuel that brings your vision to life. It's the fire that keeps burning, even when the world throws water on it. In 2024, the difference between those who succeeded and those who stayed stuck wasn't luck, it was clarity of vision, relentless belief, and consistent action. Because vision isn't passive, it's active. It demands something from you. It demands that you stop playing small. It demands that you stop waiting for the right moment. It demands that you get crystal clear on what you want, why you want it, and how far you're willing to go to make it happen. And here's the final truth about vision. It's not just about personal success. True vision always extends beyond yourself. It creates impact. It changes lives. It leaves a legacy. Because at the end of the day, vision isn't just about what you accomplish, it's about who you become in the process. It's about how you inspire others to see a reality that doesn't yet exist and give them the courage to build it alongside you. So let me ask you again, what's your vision? Can you see it clearly? Can you feel it deep in your bones? Because if you hold on to it, nurture it, take action toward it every single day, there's no force on earth that can stop you from turning your vision into reality. Action. It's the bridge between dreams and reality, between intentions and outcomes, between who you are today and who you're capable of becoming. But let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. Your excuses will always be louder than your potential until you decide to act. In 2024, we saw a stark divide between two types of people. On one side were those who spent their days waiting for the economy to stabilize, waiting for the right moment, waiting for a sign from the universe. And on the other side, the doers, the ones who refused to let uncertainty dictate their progress. The ones who understood a fundamental truth: there is no perfect time. The time is now. You see, action isn't about having all the answers. It's not about being completely prepared or having every detail figured out. Action is about taking the first step, even when the path ahead is blurry. It's about building the plane while you're flying it. It's about trusting yourself enough to move forward despite the fear, the doubt, and the endless list of reasons why you shouldn't. But here's the thing, excuses are seductive. They feel safe, they sound rational. I'll start when I have more money, I'll take the leap when I have more time, I'll begin when I'm ready. But let me tell you something, you will never feel fully ready. There will always be something standing in your way if you let it. In 2024, the people who achieved breakthroughs were not the ones who had fewer problems, they were the ones who stopped making their problems an excuse. They were the ones who said, I'll start with what I have, where I am right now. And do you know what happened? Momentum. Because action creates momentum, and momentum creates results. Think about it like this: an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. This isn't just physics, it's life. The hardest part is starting, but once you take that first step, no matter how small, you create a ripple effect. One action leads to another, and suddenly you're no longer stuck, you're moving. But let's address something head on. Action isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it means waking up earlier, staying up later, saying no distraction, and yes to discipline. But here's the beauty of action: it doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Perfectionism is one of the biggest enemies of action. How many people do you know who have brilliant ideas, incredible talents, or life-changing potential, yet they're stuck in the endless loop of I need to get it just right before I start? But here's the truth: perfect never happens. Progress happens, and progress comes from doing. Look around at the success stories of 2024. Behind every victory was someone who chose action over excuses. Behind every thriving business was an entrepreneur who said, I'm starting today even if I fail. Behind every personal transformation was someone who stopped waiting for January 1st, next Monday or someday. But let me clarify something. Action isn't always about grand gestures. It's not always about quitting your job, starting a company, or moving to a new city. Sometimes action is small. It's sending an email, it's making a phone call, it's writing one page of that book you've been putting off. The size of the action doesn't matter, it's the consistency that counts. Because consistent action compounds over time. Small actions repeated every single day turn into massive results. That's not a theory, it's a fact. But here's where most people stumble. They think action requires motivation. They wait to feel inspired, energized, or excited before they begin. But motivation is fleeting, it comes and goes like the wind. If you rely on motivation to act, you'll stay stuck. Successful people don't act because they feel like it, they act because they've made a commitment. And commitment doesn't care about how you feel. Commitment shows up when you're tired. Commitment shows up when it's inconvenient. Commitment shows up when everyone else is giving up. Because commitment understands something motivation never will. Action creates results, not feelings. But let's talk about fear, because fear is one of the biggest roadblocks to action. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of making the wrong choice. But let me ask you this: what's scarier, failing or looking back years from now and realizing you never even tried? Every time you choose action over excuses, you weaken fear's grip on you. Every time you take a step forward, you build confidence. Because confidence doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. And let's not forget one more critical truth: action isn't just about achieving your own goals. It's about the people you inspire along the way. Every time you act, you give someone else permission to act too. Your courage becomes a spark for someone else's fire. In 2024, the world didn't reward those who sat on the sidelines. analyzing, overthinking, and waiting for guarantees. It rewarded those who stepped onto the field, took risks, and gave it everything they had. And those people didn't always win immediately, but they moved. And movement, my friend, is everything. Because here's the thing about action, it's self-reinforcing. The more you act, the more capable you feel. The more capable you feel, the more action you take, and before you know it, you've broken free from the cycle of excuses and stepped into the cycle of momentum. So let me ask you this, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the stars to align? Are you waiting for the fear to disappear? Are you waiting for someone to give you permission? Because the truth is, the stars won't align perfectly. The fear won't vanish. And no one is coming to hand you permission. You have to take it. Start now, start messy, start scared, but start. Because action isn't just the key to success, it's the key to freedom. And every day you wait is a day you'll never get back. Leadership. It's not a title, it's not a position. And it's certainly not confined to corner offices or boardrooms. Leadership is action. Its influence is the willingness to stand up, speak out, and step forward when others hesitate. And here's the most powerful truth about leadership, it's contagious. One bold decision, one courageous step, one fearless voice, it's all it takes to create a ripple effect that can touch lives, shift cultures, and reshape entire futures. In 2024, we saw countless examples of this ripple effect in action. Individuals, ordinary people with extraordinary courage made decisions that didn't just change their lives, but sparked movements, inspired innovation, and motivated countless others to rise up and take ownership of their own impact. But let's clear up a common misconception. Leadership isn't reserved for a select few. It's not something you're born with, and it's not something someone hands you. Leadership is a choice. It's a choice to act when others freeze. It's a choice to speak when silence feels safer. It's a choice to lead yourself first before asking others to follow. Because here's the reality, every bold decision carries weight. Every time one steps up, it creates a ripple. A teacher who chooses to stay late to mentor a struggling student, that's leadership. An employee who speaks up about a broken system instead of looking the other way, that's leadership. A single parent who sacrifices comfort today for their child's future tomorrow, that's leadership. And the ripple doesn't stop there. You see, true leadership isn't about control, it's about inspiration. It's about setting an example so powerful that it ignites action in others. It's about showing people what's possible, not by telling them, but by living it. In 2024, the most impactful leaders weren't the loudest voices in the room. They were the ones who led by example. They didn't just talk about change, they embodied it. They didn't just point out problems, they offered solutions. And they understood something deeply profound. People don't follow words, they follow actions. But let's get real, leadership isn't easy. It requires courage, it requires vulnerability. It requires stepping into uncertainty and carrying the weight of responsibility when others are quick to offload it. Because every bold decision comes with risk. Every bold decision comes with criticism. Every bold decision comes with moments of doubt. But here's what separates true leaders from everyone else. They act anyway. They understand that the cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of failure. Because when a leader hesitates, people lose confidence. When a leader backs down, others shrink back. But when a leader steps up, even in the face of fear or uncertainty, it sends a powerful message: if I can do this, so can you. And that's where the ripple effect begins. One bold decision doesn't just inspire, it empowers. It gives others permission to step into their own strength, to take their own risks, and to make their own impact. Because leadership isn't about creating followers, it's about creating more leaders. But let me tell you something important. Leadership doesn't require perfection. Too many people hold back because they think they're not ready, not experienced enough, not qualified enough. But leadership isn't about being flawless, it's about being authentic. It's about showing up, flaws and all, and saying, this matters. Let's do something about it. And do you know what happens when you lead with authenticity? People trust you. They connect with you. They see themselves in you. And that trust, that connection, that's where the ripple effect truly takes hold. Think about the leaders who left their mark in 2024. They weren't just focused on short-term wins, they were thinking generationally. They understood that their decisions weren't just about today, they were about tomorrow, about the lives they'd never meet, about the impact they'd never fully witness. Because true leadership isn't about temporary applause, it's about lasting legacy. But let's not forget this, leadership isn't always about grand gestures or public recognition. Some of the most profound ripple effects start in the smallest of moments. A single conversation, a single act of kindness, a single word of encouragement. Leadership doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it's quiet, it's subtle, but it's deeply transformative. And let me tell you this, leadership doesn't always mean having all the answers. In fact, the most powerful leaders are the ones who ask better questions. They ask, how can we do better? They ask, what's stopping us from moving forward? And most importantly, they ask, how can I serve others more effectively? Because service is at the heart of true leadership. It's not about power, it's about responsibility. It's not about control, it's about contribution. When a leader focuses on serving others, the ripple effect grows exponentially. It inspires loyalty, fosters trust, and creates an environment where others feel empowered to step up and lead as well. But here's something many people miss. Leadership isn't always comfortable. It's not always celebrated. Sometimes leadership means standing alone. It means holding on to your vision when no one else can see it. It means making decisions that might not make you popular, but are absolutely necessary. And that's where courage comes in. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite fear. And every time a leader acts with courage, it sends out a signal it's safe to be brave here. The ripple effect of leadership doesn't stop with one person. It spreads across teams, across families, across communities, across entire societies. One bold decision creates another, until what started as a single drop becomes a tidal wave of change. And here's the most beautiful part, leadership isn't finite. There's no limit to how many people can step up, no cap on how far the ripple can spread. Because every person who embraces their role as a leader creates the opportunity for countless others to do the same. So let me ask you this. What's the bold decision you've been avoiding? What's the action you know you need to take, but fear has been holding you back? Because whether you realize it or not, your decision doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone watching you. When you step up, when you act boldly, when you lead with courage and authenticity, you're not just changing your own life, you're creating a ripple that could change countless others. And that, my friend, is the unstoppable power of leadership. At the heart of every achievement, every breakthrough, and every movement lies a common thread, a decision to act, to lead, to believe, and to persist. Whether it's resilience in the face of challenges, vision that transforms ordinary goals into extraordinary outcomes, action that shatters excuses, or leadership that creates ripples across generations, it all begins with a choice. The stories of 2024 have shown us that the difference between success and stagnation, between impact and insignificance, isn't privilege, talent, or luck, it's ownership. It's the willingness to take responsibility for our lives, our actions, and our influence. We've learned that resilience isn't about avoiding failure, but rising stronger every time we fall. Vision isn't about predicting the future, but daring to create it. Action isn't about waiting for perfection, but starting where we are with what we have. And leadership isn't about power, but about service, courage, and the ability to inspire others through our example. Every bold decision sends out a ripple. Every act of courage lights a spark. And every moment of persistence builds a bridge to a better future. So here's the truth, you are the catalyst. Whether you realize it or not, your choices, your actions, and your leadership have the power to create waves far beyond what you can see. The world doesn't need more spectators, it needs more doers, more visionaries, and more leaders. So step up, speak out, start now. Because your ripple might just become the wave that changes everything.